All right, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about Terence Crawford, Virgil Ortiz, and his response to being called out by Virgil Ortiz. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So Virgil Ortiz had a big win against Egis Kalvanakis last night, on Saturday night, and feeling really good about himself, and called out Terence Crawford for a fight at 147. And Terence Crawford has now responded by pretty much accusing Virgil Ortiz of clout chasing. And specifically what he says is, like, everybody likes to keep my name in their mouth. Good luck, nice fight, guy, pretty much just blowing him off, which, honestly, man, can be expected or should be expected considering the circumstance that Terence Crawford is in. But out of Virgil Ortiz, I like it. I like the fact that he called out Terence Crawford and that he wants to fight with Tyson, that he wants to fight with Terence Crawford. Originally, I wasn't so big on it because, he looked like he was on early on in his career, and it just looked like he was just pretty much just clout chasing and saying that he wanted the fight and not being serious about it because he had not shown anything to me to make me believe that, he could seriously compete with Terence Crawford. However, last night or Saturday night really did change my view on that because they had a common opponent. Both of them had Egis Kalvanakis, and they both looked very good against Egis Kalvanakis. And now I know that Bomac, who is the trainer of Terence Crawford, was a little bit more illustrative in his description, and basically said coming into the fight that Egis Kalvanakis would destroy Virgil Ortiz, and coming out of the fight, he said that text the guy, I think he texted Chris Mannix and said that Terence Crawford would knock out Virgil Ortiz. Now, the guy that is really pushing for the fight to take place, however, is Robert Garcia. And Robert Garcia is the trainer of Virgil Ortiz. And what he was saying is that he believes that Virgil Ortiz is ready right now because of the size that he has, the strength that he has, and the intelligence that he has. And I'm looking at the styles of the fight, and I'm thinking, you know what, these guys match up a lot better than I originally thought that they did. Virgil Ortiz is somebody that is big and strong and is coming forward, but he's coming forward in a very fundamentally sound fashion where he really doesn't give you a lot of gaps or a lot of openings to really land anything. And I think that very well could work well against Terence Crawford's style, whose style is to kind of figure you out over a few rounds, and then eventually kind of figure out where your cracks are and where your holes are, and then takes advantage of those. But if Virgil Ortiz really doesn't have that, then Terence Crawford has to deal with the constant pressure coming during the fight. Now, as far as the clout chasing portion of it, Virgil Ortiz responded to Terence Crawford and said, "Hey man, I just answer the questions. I don't ask the questions, I just answer the questions." So it's telling him, look, man, I'm just giving you my honest answer. Yeah, I want to fight you, and I don't think anything is wrong with that. That's something that Virgil Ortiz should want to do at this stage in his career. He should want to step up to be a champion, and this is a really good time for younger fighters at the 147-pound division because I can see a definite passing of the torch taking place at that weight class between the guys who are running it now, the Errol Spence Jr.'s, Terence Crawford's, got to throw Manny Pacquiao's name in the hat there. The guys that are at the top of the division, Shawn Porter, right, Keith Thurman, and the young guys that are coming up. I think Rashidi Ellis is a welterweight. If he's not, please forgive me. But like Rashidi Ellis, Virgil Ortiz, and definitely Jaron Ennis, those guys should want to go ahead and challenge the guys that are at the top of the weight class. The only problem is that it doesn't really look like those guys are going to have a lot of opportunities to do so, because to call somebody out is one thing, but to actually have, there be enough the scenario be ripe for the fight is something it's different. And if you look at like Terence Crawford's resume, his itinerary for the just for the sake of it, you look at what he has going on, and it's almost impossible for him to get a fight with Virgil Ortiz within the next 2 years, because he has a fight coming up with Shawn Porter, and that fight is I think that is probably the most exciting fight in Terence Crawford's career. That's the first time that I've seen Terence Crawford being there against a guy that I seriously think has an opportunity to beat him. Shawn Porter is a guy that has competed very, very well with Errol Spence Jr. He's competed very well with Keith Thurman. He's beaten Danny Garcia. He's beaten Yordenis Ugas. Another guy that beat him that he competed very well with was Kell Brook, when Kell Brook was at the top, of the division. I think that is just a really, really good fight for Terence Crawford. So then that's been mandated by the WBO. I keep waiting to hear whether or not they're going to sanction whether they're going to come up with an agreement to fight before the purse bid, or whether it's going to a purse bid. Either way, most likely that fight is going to happen, even though Terence Crawford has some reticence in saying that the fight's going to happen. But that fight is going to take up, that's going to be Terence Crawford through the end of the year. After that, he's got a decision about what management company he's going to go to, and whether or not he's going to stay with Top Rank, or whether he's going to go to somebody like a Golden Boy, the PBC, somebody like sign with DAZN. I think the forerunner for him to sign would be with the PBC. The four besides Top Rank. So if he goes with Top Rank, though, he would have a fight with Josh Taylor over in Glasgow, Scotland. So that would be a solid year. And or the other options is that he could come over and he could fight with the PBC and get a unification fight with either Yordenis Ugas or Yordenis Ugas Manny Pacquiao winner, or Errol Spence. So his plate is very, very full. Now, I don't think that is a bad thing for Virgil Ortiz, because I think Virgil Ortiz, time is on his side. And another year, a year and a half of another 1 or 2 fights at that level, maybe, fighting, if it's possible, a Jamal James or somebody like that, somebody who's probably a little bit better than Igis Kalvanakis, maybe even a Danny Garcia, if he could get his hands on Danny Garcia, might do him even better to really prove that he's at that level. The other options are for him to take a fight with his contemporary, and a guy that I think is the best at 147 pounds of the young guys, and he may be the best at 147 period, is Jaron Ennis. So, there's all kind of options for Virgil Ortiz, and moving forward, time is on his side. I like that he wants the Terence Crawford fight, but again, the Terence Crawford fight has to wait behind multiple people, for that to happen. But I like the fact that he's calling him out. And honestly, man, I really like the way Virgil Ortiz looked. Virgil Ortiz looks like, to me now, a top 5, top 6 welterweight. And I wouldn't have said that before, but after seeing his performance with Igis Kalvanakis and the way that he changed strategy in the middle of the fight and then took over in the middle of the fight, I just thought a lot of that. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.